Yo, what's up guys? Sean here, aka ImaFlyNmidget. Welcome back to some more Lumber Tycoon 2, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to be telling you guys how much each axe is actually worth. Yes, guys, that is right. There's so much confusion about how much each axe is worth. Like, how much is this axe worth? How much is that axe worth? Like, you know, we just no one really knows. Like, no one really knows the prices. Some people get ripped off. Some people get really good deals. I'm here today to set a baseline price for everyone and to kind of tell you guys what I think the market prices are. Just because I've been playing the game for so long and I've seen, you know, people sell axes and stuff like that go down. So I'm like, you know what, I think I got a pretty good idea of how much each axe is actually worth, and it kind of cleared up a lot of confusion. But before we get into today's video, check out this sweet new shirt I'm rocking, kind of to go with my new webcam background, you know, this whole little galaxy thing. So I'm selling a galaxy shirt, guys. I'm only going to be selling this shirt in Roblox for a limited time. For us, you know, if you guys stop seeing this webcam background behind me, then this shirt is no longer going to be for sale. So pretty much, if you see a video and I upload a video with this background, then this shirt is still for sale. But you know, we don't know how long I'm going to have this background behind me. So make sure you guys snag one before, you know, they go off and you can't buy them anymore. But anyway, let's get into the video. So, like I said, guys, with the axes. Now, I've got so many axes. I'm going to show you guys kind of like my axe shop, which I haven't really, you know, finished yet. But here's my axes. I finally kind of reorganized these again because I got all messed up. But I reorganized them again. And then we got all that mess and nastiness and all that. But today I'm just going over the specialty axes, guys. So, you know, just the beta axe, fire axe, end times axe, alpha axe, shark axe, or rookery axe, whatever you want to call it, and candy cane axe. So I'm not really going over, you know, like you know, the axes you find in the store because those have prices on them. So these are the only axes that don't really have prices on them, and you actually can't buy these from a store anywhere. Like, you can't physically go to one of the stores on the map and just go buy it. Like, if I were to go into Wood R Us or even, like, you know, across the island or any of the stores, you're not going to be able to get these axes. So you pretty much have to buy these axes from players, guys. Like, you have to buy them from players. So that's why I was like, you know what, we need to set a baseline for these prices today. So there's a few variations I want to go over first. First off, there's obviously the axe. So you can buy the axe off someone, or you can buy it boxed, or there's actually it in present form, which I don't really have any near me. But yeah, so there's different ways you can buy the axe, guys, and the value changes a little bit with these different variations, but honestly, it's about the same. So the one thing I want to say before this video, before I tell you guys prices, is if duping wasn't a thing in Lumber Tycoon, if you weren't allowed to dupe, if duping, like, if for some reason Defaultio somehow managed to make it so you can't dupe axes, these prices would be ridiculously expensive. They would be, I mean, in the hundreds of thousands. It'd be ridiculously expensive. But because there's so many dupers out there, and like as you can see, because of my base, like people just give me a bunch of axes. There's a bunch of axes out in the market. So two things you guys need to know: supply and demand. So pretty much you can't get these axes anywhere. So the supply should be zero. Like, there should be a set number of these axes out in the market, and trying to find them should be hard. But people dupe them, so the supply is relatively low still. It's just not zero. Like, there's still a supply of them. There's still kind of new ones being duped and being made, but the supply is still pretty low, and the demand for these are super high. So a lot of people, especially new players, really want these axes. They're like, I mean, these axes are game changers, guys. Honestly, if I had to play Lumber Tycoon without a specialty axe, it would be tough. I would hate it. I'd be like, this is so much work. This is taking so much time. These axes help a ton. And they all have special uses and all that stuff, guys. And if you want to watch a video on which one's the best axe, then definitely I'll link it in the description below. I did a video on that a long time ago. But each axe kind of has its purpose. I think all you guys pretty much know that. But anyway, you got your supply and you got your demand. Supply is relatively low, but there is still a supply of them. And demand is relatively high, although, you know, it's not as high as it would be because supply is kind of up there. You know, it's not zero. So, to keep it into simpler terms, the lower the supply, usually the higher the demand. So these things kind of balance out and kind of play with each other. Wow, that hurt my shoulder, but they kind of balance out and play with each other and stuff like that. So, you know, it is important to kind of know that. That's why I kind of want to give you guys a little bit of background here. So before we go through these axes, I just want to let you guys know that there is a supply and demand, and that's what kind of determines the price. So for instance, when these candy cane axes first came out, you know, well, actually, candy cane axes are like a terrible example because they're basically useless right now. Let's go with the fire axe. So when the fire axe first came out, like 2 years ago almost now, it was only available in the store for like 2 weeks. You could only buy it for 2 weeks from the store. Once you bought it, you couldn't buy them anymore. Like, you can't get them anymore. So initially, right after you couldn't get them, the price was super high. The price was super high because everyone was like, "Oh, you can't buy these anymore." Like, "Oh, I might have bought it for $1,000 in the store, but I'm gonna sell it for $30,000 because you can't buy them." But then people started duping them, so the supply started going up, and that's when the price started going down because there was a lot more of those axes kind of out there. And as you can see, I've got loads of axes, so they're not super, super, super rare, although they are hard to get. So let's go through this. I've got a little list pulled up here of how much each one is roughly worth, guys. Now again, this is gonna be kind of like it's gonna be a range. I'm not gonna be like this axe right here. This beta axe is gonna be worth $4,422. If you pay $1 more or $1 less, then you're getting ripped off or you're getting a good deal. No, I'm gonna give you guys ranges because it's gonna vary all the time. Okay. That's the problem. There is no set value for these axes. So I'm going to give you what I think they're worth, about a range. But it is kind of, up to you guys and kind of figuring out. And if you're selling axes, always sell it for a higher end. Like, always sell it, like, on the higher end of the range. And if you're buying an axe, always try to buy it towards the lower end. But it all just depends on kind of how you barter with and how you kind of deal with the buying and selling. So, anyway, we're going to start with the beta axe, guys. So this beta axe right here, with it just unboxed, with just the axe itself, you're going to be looking anywhere from $5,000 to about $12,000 or $13,000. So $5,000 to $12,000 is around the range I'd give you guys, which is a pretty big range. But I've seen these things sold, for really, really, really cheap, and I've seen them sold for really expensive. If you want to know how well it does or how good it is, then definitely check the video that I'm gonna link in the description about which one's the best axe. That kind of determines a little bit of the price. They're not the best axe out there. It's just kind of a cool thing to have. You got, the beta axe. You maybe played in the beta. If not, whatever. But yeah, so it's going to be worth about $5,000 to $12,000, about that range. Now, if it's boxed, it's supposed to go up a ton. Everyone's like, "Oh, dude, a boxed beta is incredibly rare. Like, that's going to make the price go up like 10 times. No, guys. Like, honestly, what is so cool about a box beta? It's not that amazing. You can't even use the axe one. It's just the fact that it's still in its box and it's like this cool, fresh rarity thing. They're really not as rare as you guys think they are. A lot of people are like, "Oh, those things are worth $50K. Honestly, I'd say a box beta is anywhere from 10 to 18K. It goes up a little bit in price, but not a ton. Like, yeah, it is a little bit more rare, because it is in its box, so, but it's still not that amazing, guys. It's useless. Like, you can't, it's only for show. Like, you can't use it, so it's not that versatile. So it's just the fact that there's, everyone thinks, "Oh, there's no beta axe boxes out there," but there are. Trust me, there are. So I'd give you about that range of about 10 to 20-ish area, around there, give or take a few, but yeah, in that range, guys. So, next up, we're going to come to the fire axe, which I think is one of the most useful axes out there. That axe is going to be sold for about $5,000 to $15,000. So the reason this gap is really big is because it's an amazing axe. Like, if you guys don't have a fire axe, get one. Just get one. Okay, it doesn't matter how much you pay, you're going to make your money back on it because it's going to save you a ton of time getting lava wood and making a lot of money that way. So definitely get one. That's why the range is so big because, it's basically the same kind of rarity as like pretty much any of the other axes out there, but it can be, it's got that special purpose of being really usable. So about $5,000 to $15,000 to make those kind of really awesome. And honestly, if you're paying $15,000 for a fire axe, it's still worth it, guys. Trust me. Like I said, you're going to make that $15K back easily with that axe and the amount of time you're going to save. So about $5,000 to $15,000. Box, honestly, I hate why people think that this is so valuable. A box fire axe is even more useless than a box beta because a box fire axe, you want to open it and actually use it because it's actually really useful. A fire axe is extremely useful. I use two axes. I use an end times axe and I use a fire axe, and that's basically it, guys, in this game. So you're definitely going to want to get one of these axes, and honestly, a box is not that amazing, but if you were going to find a box, guys, then those are going to range anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. Again, a really big range. $25,000 more for the collectors. People, if you find someone who's trying to collect stuff, then you could probably sell it to them for $25,000. But if you find someone who just wants to use the axe, 10. I mean, it's not that great, guys, in its box. It doesn't do anything good, and they're not as rare as you guys think. Trust me, a lot of people think these axes are a lot rarer than they actually are. They're really not as rare as they are, guys. All it takes is to find one person that's been duping these things, and they've got hundreds of them, and it's easy pick'ems, all right? Next up is the End Times Axe. Now, this is another one of the super versatile axes that I actually use. Apparently, it's one of the best axes in the game. But, it's pretty similar to the Rookery, I think, or the Shark Axe, which is this one right here. But definitely go watch the video where I talk about all the other axes. But the End Times Axe, this is going to be probably your most expensive axe in axe form. And it's gonna run you anywhere. When they first came out, they were selling upwards of like 30,000. Now I think you could probably find one for about 10,000. Again, that range is massive, but I would say probably around the 15 to 25 to make the range a little bit kind of closer. But you could definitely get it for, I've definitely seen them sold for 10,000 or even lower than that. But again, it is an axe that you legit cannot get anymore. And honestly, this was the axe that was probably the shortest amount of time to get. The end times axe you were only able to get literally in a day. Like, you were able to get it on one day. All these other axes you were able to get, within like a week or two or, all that. This one you had to be on during that day to get the axe. And it was still like you had a quest for it. So, these things, they cost about 8,000 to actually quest and get yourself. Again, since dupers and the supply has been going up, guys, it has devalued it. But if you were to get this on that one day you were able to get it, it would have still cost you about 8K. And since you can't get them anymore, that's why the lowest I'd put it on the scale is about 10K. Although you should probably be selling them for about 15K because that's probably about what they're worth. But again, they can be sold upwards of 30K. So they're kind of a big range, and they're honestly a super versatile axe. One of the quickest axes in the game, so I'd highly recommend getting one of those if you can. Again, definitely spend your money on it because you're probably going to get your money back. But anyway, next up you got your alpha axe, guys. Now these guys have a huge range. I don't know why. People think that the alpha axe, I want to show that I was here since alpha, and it is a cool looking axe because it is pink and white. But dudes, they're not super usable. Like, I don't really use an alpha axe that much, but they are a little bit rarer than the beta axes. I will say that because there were less alpha players out there, even though there is some duping going on. So this range is massive. It's massive, okay? I've seen them sell as low as 7K and as upwards of like 35, 40K, around the 35, 40K range. And that's just because everyone's like, oh, an alpha axe, that's got to be super rare because it was only available during alpha, and, there's only so many alpha players. I got to get my hands on an alpha axe. But really, there's so many dupers, guys, that it's really not as valuable as people think. But I have seen them sold, as much as 35, 40K, and a boxed alpha is worth more, probably upwards about 50 to 55K. So yeah, I mean, if that, it is probably one of the most expensive axes in the game, not the most versatile. End times most versatile, my boy. But alpha is probably sold for the most, which is kind of interesting. I think it just looks cool, and it's just cool to have an alpha axe, like, especially boxed, just because it'd be shown, oh, I was in the alpha, I was here in the alpha. But really, I was not here in the alpha. These are all duped, and people just gave them to me. So, it is rare, but not as rare as you guys think. So again, don't be overpaying for these axes, all right? They're not as expensive as you guys think. Next up is a Rukari, or Rukari, or whatever the heck you want to call it. I call it the Shark Axe. Now, this guy is the one axe out of all of these on the line right here that is still obtainable in-game, guys. It's still obtainable in-game, and it's going to run you, if you're going to buy this from someone, it's going to run you, it's pretty low on, like, the selling list. Like, it's like, you could buy one as low as 2K or as high as, like, 7 or 8K, which is, if you're going to find one of these axes for anything less than 7K, just buy it. Buy it. Because if you were to quest and do this yourself, it would cost you about 7 to 8K. Okay, because you gotta go buy some items, go blow up the mountain and get past. So there's a lot of things you gotta buy. So it's gonna cost you about 8K to quest for one of these legit, like right now. Because I can go get a new one of these legit. But it's gonna cost me about 8K. So if you can find one for less than 8K, then I definitely buy it because it's worth it because it's going to cost you 8K to get it anyway. But I've seen these sell pretty much as, like, I've seen them sell for about 10K. Just people don't want to go through the hassle of questing themselves. So they're like, oh, I'll just give you 10K and you can give me one of the Rookeries. But it is a fun quest. So if you just want to go do the quest, then I'd recommend it. But if you can find one for cheap, definitely buy it. Now, the next one, and I absolutely hate this axe. I hate this candy cane axe with a passion because it is the newest axe in the game. It is probably one of the rarest axes, I guess, right now, because you don't see people using them or really duping them. The supply for these are probably the lowest right now. Probably the lowest out of all these axes, and for the main reason is because it literally has zero use right now. It has no use at all. If I were to grab one and go chop a tree down, it literally would just fall out of my hands, or it wouldn't chop it or anything. Like, these things literally have no use. They're going to have use in the future. But right now, the demand for these are incredibly low, and the supply is incredibly low. Like, no one really cares about these axes. It's just like dupers are like, there's no point in me duping that because no one's really going to buy one of those because they're really useless right now. It's just for show. And people don't really want them because it's just like, I'll take one for show and, like, maybe one day it'll be useful. But right now, as I'm making this video, it's not useful. So Maybe by the time you guys are watching this video, it will be useful and they will go up in price or in value. But right now, they're not super valuable. I would say they range anywhere from about 7 to 18,000. About 7 to 18K, I'd say around there. Again, it's nothing special. I wouldn't recommend buying one. If you could buy one for cheap right now, then I definitely would get one. I'd get one axe because they are going to probably go up in value. It's like a good investment. If you want to get a bunch of them right now, well, they're not very valuable. And then once they are useful and they become more valuable, then people will want them. But for right now, you know, honestly, if you got the money, I would pretty much just buy these two axes right here. And then if you're a collector, then definitely go for the box alphas and betas. But again, guys, these axes are not worth as much as you guys think they are. They're really not worth that much, all right? And again, if you want to kind of try to do a little investment game, then get your hands on a bunch of candy canes for a lower price and see if you can sell them when they're useful in the future. But I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. These axes aren't worth that much. I need to make this video to tell you guys these axes are not worth as much as you guys think. A lot of people are like, oh, End Times axe, that's 20K. You're not going to find anything cheaper than 20K. No, not true, guys, okay? Not true. But, you know, that is kind of the prices for all these, so I hope you guys kind of learned something from this. I like doing these videos, okay? I really, really, really like doing these videos. So if you guys kind of want to see more videos like this with informational kind of Lumber Tycoon stuff, leave me some suggestions below. Be like, Midget, I've always wondered, like, how do you actually get the Rookery axe? Like, how do you get the Shark axe? Like, how do I get that thing? Can you show us? Like, yeah. I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys how to get it legit. You know, I'll show you how to do a lot of things. And when you guys are trading and buying and selling these axes, and make sure you watch my video beforehand on how to not get scammed. I'll link that in the description as well. I don't want you guys getting scammed through all this. I've got a pretty good method that's pretty fail-safe. That'll kind of reduce your chances of getting scammed. But that is going to do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. Share this video with your friends. Tell everyone in the Lumber Tycoon community that this is how much the axes are worth, all right? Because there's so many fake and inflated numbers going out there in the community. These are, like, from my research that I've done, and I've seen a lot of, you know, I've been playing this game for over a year now, and I've seen lots of people kind of, you know, buy and sell axes. So I think these are pretty good prices. I think these are pretty much how much they sell for. But that is going to do it for today, guys. Make sure you tell everyone about this. Smash that like button. Leave a comment with some suggestions for the next video, and if you guys haven't already, make sure you be fly and subscribe.